Well, obviously here in the Eagle Ford Shale, one of the main problems that we're facing is the damages to the roads. Most of these roads were built many, many decades ago and weren't really built for heavy truck traffic. They were built for farmers to take their produce from the farm to market, hence the name farm to market roads. They're not used to the thousands and thousands of truck loads that are required to build a drilling rig site and service it over the years. And so unfortunately we have a lot of roads that have fallen into disrepair. Some of it is going to take some sacrifice, not only on the part of the state, but perhaps on the part of the tax-paying public. Obviously the oil and gas industry is pretty much the motor that runs this great state, and has been since Spindletop over 100 years ago. The trucking industry has been a main part of taking care of these drilling rigs in these remote areas of the state. And one of the things that I think we're going to have to do is to try to move some of the money that goes to Austin from the oil and gas industry, and it needs to be sent back out to the county so they can maintain these roads. Presently, of course, the counties are responsible for the county roads and the farm to market roads. And they're the roads that are getting the most amount of abuse, but unfortunately the counties don't participate in a lot of this revenue from the oil and gas industry. That money is sent to Austin. Fortunately, some courageous legislators in this last session have put together a good package of financing to increase the budget for the highway department, and it'll be taken to a bond package to the voters of this state in November of this year. Oh. Okay. If you're thinking about getting into the trucking industry, and especially in the oil field industry, you need to make sure that you have your equipment and your manpower set aside, because a lot of people think they can get into this industry and they find out that they can't. They found that pretty quickly. Number one, getting equipment is a real challenge. There's a real rush to attain pneumatic trailers like these ones behind me right now, and they're hard to get a hold of. In fact, we found it such a challenge, we started building our own trailers, and it's the only way that we can keep up with the demand of our company. The second thing is the manpower issue. It is incredibly difficult to get qualified drivers that can pass the rigorous requirements of the transportation industry here in the oil field, and passing the ones that'll be passed by your insurance company. The industry has learned from its past of bad practices, and we're significantly better stewards of of our environment than we were just a few years ago. In fact, I worked with Henry Cisneros, the former mayor of San Antonio and former cabinet secretary under Bill Clinton, on the Eagle Ford Task Force. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that all the oil and gas companies and the drilling companies that are working down here in the Eagle Ford are being extraordinarily good stewards of the environment, and that we're leaving the environment in better condition than when we showed up on site. If you're asking me about the XL pipeline, it absolutely has to be built. The ridiculous part of the argument is that the oil companies have already purchased the rail cars. That oil is going to be moved from Canada to the refineries of the Gulf Coast, and it can either be moved safely by pipeline or not as safely by rail car. It probably won't ever be sent by trucks because it's just not economically feasible. But this oil will be moved, and the best thing to do is to put it in a safe pipeline where it has the least amount of disruption to not only the traveling public but to the environment as well. What I'd say to these small towns that have this newfound bounty of wealth and opportunity, I suggest that you make the most of it. That you not only sit around and try to build up an oil economy, that you go beyond that. You take pride in your small town and you build an entire business industry around that town. There are great tax revenues that are coming to your city and county coffers right now. Be bold. Go ahead and start trying to grow your city and beyond the area of oil and gas. There are fantastic opportunities for people who have the courage to dive off into it. We moved to San Antonio after 62 years in Houston and have been here for the last just 2 years, and we've grown by 300%. And we've done it with honor and integrity and a real appreciation to this great city of San Antonio and great leaders like former Mayor Henry Cisneros that have put their money where their mouth is, and we're trying to educate these towns to take the advantage of this great opportunity. Well, first of all, anytime we can sit around and reduce our dependence on foreign oil, it gives us an opportunity to perhaps spend less money protecting those interests in foreign countries. Let's go ahead and bring that money back into this great country of ours and fuel that economic engine that is this great country, the United States. These small towns, sometimes you don't see it at first, that you're just having to put up with heavy truck traffic or beat up roads. It's up to you to take advantage of this. And there's no one that can appreciate that more than me. I've been president of this company for 30 years and I didn't make a dime my first 25. But by grabbing onto the economic engine of the oil industry, it has completely changed my point of view of what my responsibilities are as the president of a company and the responsibilities I have to all of my employees. So I just ask everybody to take a shot at themselves and believe in themselves.